that drive business success. We're going to be starting in a minute. I'm just waiting for other people to come through. I can see people coming in. And today we will be talking about the data management system standard. In April, we conducted a webinar, which was the first of two episodes webinar series, sorry. And this is the second one. We initially talked about what data governance was, and why we need that, who needs that, and how we can implement that with the good practices. In this second episode of our webinar series, we are targeting to let you know about a new standard, and some good practices. We'll also be talking about, a little bit. We'll be talking about comparing data governance frameworks, so you will get a basic understanding of what's happening here with the new data management standard, data management system standard. So let's kick off. All right. Okay. My name is Boğaç Özgen, and welcome to our webinar today regarding the data management standard that drives business success. Ceylan Yazici, our data governance expert, is going to be here. She will be co-presenting this presentation today, and we will be introducing ourselves in a minute. But before moving forward, let me just talk about CFE certification a bit, who is hosting this webinar today. CFE certification is a management system certification and auditing and certification training services provider, headquartered in the UK and providing services globally. CFE certification has UCAS, IAS, and TÜRKAK accreditations. TÜRKAK accreditation might be a bit unfamiliar to you. It is the accreditation services organization, the National Accreditation Services Organization in Turkey. UCAS accreditation, you may know that it is the United Kingdom Accreditation Services. These are really very important qualifications for this company, actually. So what it does is, in CFE Cert, we provide certification activities. If you need any ISO management system certification regarding information security management system, AI management, business continuity, IT service management, quality management, data privacy, and so you can always contact CFE Cert regarding their services. They also provide training services. They are an accredited training provider, which provides CPD accredited trainings. This webinar is not a CPD accredited training, but you can get a certificate if you stay here within the webinar from the beginning to the end. You'll get an attendance certificate, which you may be able to use your against or towards your CPD points. So please, if you need any information, any further information regarding CFE certification, please contact them directly. We will provide you the contact details in a minute. So today we'll be talking about the data management system standard, how we approach to this, and how it is related to our day-to-day operations in our organizations. So my name is Boğaç Özgen. I have been in the sector since 2000 and I don't know when, 2000, well, possibly 1996 or so. But actively auditing, training, and consulting since 2006. I have been working in information security, business continuity, service management, software development, risk management, data privacy, regulatory environments, and so And I love this. It is one of my hobbies, actually. You may find it a bit strange, but yeah, you may say, yeah, go and have a life, but this is good anyway. I help a lot of people, to have efficiency and effectiveness in their day-to-day work. Ceylan, would you like to introduce yourself?
Hello, I'm Ceylan Yazici. I've been working with data since 2006. And in the first years of my career, I was in the operation side, like database administrator and all data lifecycle things. And then I work for security of data. I work for regulations, complying for the regulations and fulfilling the security needs of data. And for 2 years, I am work as a data governance manager, and I will tell you about my what I learned in data governance and what I can tell you to do.
Thank you, Ceylan. Ceylan Yazici is our data governance expert, and in our previous webinars, she gave a lot of useful and interesting information. If you're interested in getting this knowledge, please go back to the recordings on the CFE certifications YouTube channel. You'll be able to access the earlier recordings. All right, so let's move on. All right, the data management system standard. Okay, first of all, what is data management? Well, data management is, managing the data really. We have the data lifecycle that we have explained in our previous webinar, and like we manage our other assets in our organizations, we manage our data assets too, throughout the data life cycle. And it includes any kind of activity, really, any kind of data processing activity is included here. So all companies, regardless of their size, their sector, their environment, they somehow manage data. Whether they manage their customer data or employee data or financial data, whatever, every one of the companies all around the world manage data. So data management is within our lives. It is embedded in every aspect of our businesses. So it is a crucial part. But on the other hand, when the criticality of the data increases, obviously that becomes more important because we may be processing personal data, we may be processing sensitive data, critical data, some financial data, or some monitoring data, whatever. It's just, it becomes more and more important. And as our organizations, processes, systems get more and more complicated and complex, then just the day-to-day management of the data requires a different type of approach, because we want to meet our regulatory responsibilities. We want to, ensure that our risk is low so that, our operations work in a confident manner. So what we do is we start thinking about, okay, how we can manage our data management activities. Well, in better terms, actually, how can we govern it? And here, the data governance come into place. What is data governance then? Data governance is the management of the data management in this picture. So as the management in the organization, you would like to ensure that whatever you put in place through your policies, procedures, work instructions, agreements, and so forth, they are implemented as you expected them to be implemented, and also the outcomes satisfy your expectations. So data governance come into place at this point, and there are different types of governance models that we talk about, but we will come into that in a minute. So what is a data management system? Well, this is an interesting definition, actually. The data management system is a way of data governance, if you like. There are different types of data governance models, out there in the market. some of them are very technical, some of them are very high level, at the strategic level, explaining, what needs to be done, how it needs to be done, and so our approach that we will be focusing mostly today is a concept called data management system. We set up a system to our governance activities in a particular way, which we'll be talking about in a minute. And we implement data governance through this system. So at this point, okay, we can implement the system, but do we have any kind of standard? Do we have any kind of norm, to have it as a foundation to our data management system? And I'm happy to say that yes, we have. We have different types of models in this environment, but today we'll be talking about the data management system standard. So what is it? The data management system standard is a standard explaining you from a top level perspective, initially explaining how you can set up your governance system and how you can run your operations in alignment with the expectations that you set up in the beginning. And this data management system standard is aligned with the ISO management system standards. If you're familiar with ISO 27001, the information security management system standard, for example, it includes the understanding context of the organization, leadership, planning, support, resource management, operations, performance evaluation, and continual improvement. So this standard is structured in the same way, and we will be talking about that in a minute. But the data management standard is the only standard which is aligned with the ISO management system standard structure, what we call the Annex SL at the moment. Okay, so what other models do we have in our environment? Well, interestingly, there are different models. Most probably, if you're working in the data governance environment, probably you've heard about the DMBOK, the SAS, the DGI. Maybe you've heard about the McKinsey or PwC models and everything. So I used the AI, Microsoft's AI tool Copilot, to get a comparison of these frameworks. Not because I want to give you a very detailed comparison of these frameworks, but I would like to mention one single very important aspect of that. So initially I said, okay, create a criteria and then compare all these frameworks accordingly. So the AI tool created the strategic alignment, roles and accountability, data quality and compliance, methodology and technology integration as the pillars in the criteria set. And then it compared them, and within our presentation I also included more information from the Copilot AI tool. If you're interested in, you can always go back and see that one. But what I would like to mention here is the data management system standard is completely different than what these models are offering you, because this is the combination of everything. If you can use any of these models along with the data management system standard, because the data management system standard ensures that you achieve strategic alignment, you define your roles and responsibilities while creating, full accountability within the organization. You increase your data quality, your compliance levels improve. The methodology that you have is a structured methodology. The knowledge is there, the experience is already there because of the ISO 9001, ISO 27001, ISO 20001, whatever, all these management system standards. Also, the technology integration. We already have established systems in the marketplace to integrate the data management system expectations or requirements, with the integration tools out there. There are lots of data governance tools that you can easily implement, and they will be supported by the data management system standard. So this is the main difference between the data management system standard and the existing models. For example, the MBOK, it talks about some strategic level things, tactical level things, and operational level things. But it is a 300 plus pages document, which is very overwhelming if you're a small or modest organization. If you are even a corporate organization, you may not want to include a lot of stuff, but to focus on one particular area. So scalability becomes really very important in that sense. And other frameworks focus on the corporations mostly because data governance is seen like a corporate activity, if you like, but not anymore. The data management system standard will bring another perspective, an additional approach to data governance in your organizations. Okay, so let's talk about the data management standard a bit. We have created this standard to support organizations to align their operations with the best practices that a lot of organizations around the world are already following, like the ISO management system standards. So what is it? The data management system. First of all, the data management system enhances data quality, as I just mentioned, that improves the regulatory compliance. You have stronger data security because we focus on data security. Also, we focus on AI, machine learning, business intelligence, big data, and that kind of stuff, so that all these new trends are or can be included within your scope, and you can always manage these activities in your organization. It improves the decision-making process because you can rely on the data. You can rely on the up-to-dateness of the data, basically the data quality, so that the top management or the decision makers can take informed and low-risk decisions compared to non-existing data governance activities. And also operational efficiency and cost reduction is a benefit in alignment with what we already have. So what are the why do we need this standard, or what are the benefits of the data management system standard? First of all, it's aligned with the NXSL, so it's just structured in that way. This means that we have already the knowledge, we already have the resources available to us, and it is easy to implement, basically, and we know how to implement these things in general. All right, so what is the structure of the data management system standard? For people who are familiar with the structure of NXSL, this wouldn't be so strange to see. We talk about the context and scope of the management system. We talk about leadership planning, and we consider it as the design of the management system. We talk about support processes, resource management, and then operations, performance evaluation, and continued improvement. So how I explain this in a contextual manner is, once you have a task to implement a management system, or once you have a task to get certified, for example, for ISO 27001, ISO 9001, for quality management system, for information security, or whatever the standard that you are, tasked to implement. First, as you may know, you start understanding the context. The context includes the internal and external issues, what is happening in my environment, who are the players, who are the stakeholders, the interested parties. So you create this map, or this map of the universe that your organization in, and you try to understand the relationship between these entities. And once you understand these entities, you create that scope definition within your processes, so that you now know how to treat different entities within this environment, and that you take that piece of information to the management and you say, okay, now I figured out how we can implement this. This is the scope of the things, and this is what we need to do at the highest level. Maybe we will have some finishing touches with the third-party agreements, the contracts, for example, or maybe some operational level agreements we may need to publish internally, or some service level agreements with some service providers or the departments, or whatever that is. You go to the management and you say, okay, I know what it is now, and I need your support. Can you support me? And they will say, okay, how can we support you? And you will say, okay, give me a policy, give me something, give me some authority so that I can go back to my organization and say, hey, I am tasked to implement this thing and I need your support. Let's do this together. And there, the policy is published, it's announced, it's communicated, and now you know what you want to do, you need to do, and you have the support from the manager, and you go back and start planning. It is like a project planning thing, but more than that. And you start planning it, and you identify your resources that you will need, during the implementation and beyond. And then you go back to the management and say, okay, these are the resources that I need. Can you support me with that? And they provide you support, the resources. And then you start implementing these things. Over the course of this implementation, you do risk assessments, you do control implementations, you do process improvements, whatever that you're doing, you do the operations. And then from time to time, we review whatever we did, whatever we implemented against our initial plan. And then, this can be done through internal audits, this can be done through performance evaluation, this can be done some external audits, or however you would like to do that. You can do it, and then, there may be some gaps, and then you take it through your continual improvement process. So the whole structure is aligned with the PDCA cycle, what we call the PDCA cycle. It is the plan, do, check, act cycle that all the management system standards are rely on. This is the Deming cycle. And if you have experience and familiarity with the ISO management standards, you know what I'm talking about here. And this data management system standard is aligned in exactly the same way, following, it has some context, concepts taken from different aspects of these management system standards, but it is a process-oriented structure, if you like. Okay, so as I said, the context, the scope, and everything. On the right-hand side, you will see, where we are in the presentation. So if you're lost, you can always refer back to that. So context and the scope. So Ceylan, can you please just support us with these clauses? So what do they mean in the standard? I gave the high-level contextual information, obviously, but how does the standard take these things into account?
In terms of determining the context and the scope, we need to determine what we're gonna deal with. I mean, it's only GDPR or only critical data, or the whole system. Are we dealing with external users? Do we have any vendors that we are sharing data, exchanging data, and in which departments we will engage the stakeholders to the data management system, and which kind of organization we have, and which kind of data governance team we will establish. I mean, it can be a central team, or it can be located in domains. I mean, you can locate in every single department a data governance team, or you can manage it centrally. And which product and services you may deal with when you are making your data governance establishments. So first, you need to determine the context and the scope of your data management practices.
So that's the key thing, isn't it? At the end of the day, once you have all this information, it's quite easy to come up with a scope definition, and then you know how to treat all other entities within that scope. But particularly, we are talking about the data, as Ceylan said here. It can be privacy related data, it can be financial data. So it's all down to the criticality of the data. So we always go back to this context. Okay, then, once we have the scope, as I suggested, you take that piece of information and go back to the leadership. At this point, I would like to state that, the management, the data management system standard sees the management system at three different levels. This is a contextual explanation, by the way, just to understand the standard in a better way. We talk about the strategic level, we talk about the tactical level, and we talk about the operational level. The strategic level is all about the management system design, the vision, the strategy, and policies, if you like, which is considered within clause 5 of the standard. And then at the tactical level, we identify our data lifecycle thing, and then we start, designing our processes. And at the operational level, we focus on data process security, BI, and AI, obviously. And Ceylan, in a minute, will be giving, a lot of information around that. But what I would like to do is here is emphasizing the importance of the strategic level initiative, if you like. Once you have the support from the top management, you can do everything, obviously. So I'll go back to Ceylan now. Ceylan, can you just tell us about this, especially the top management's support, to this data governance initiative? How important is it, and what happened, and how it impacts, if it doesn't work well, how it impacts the rest of the implementation of our management system?
As a corporation, we have business goals, we have a strategy, we have a vision, we have a mission. And as a data management team, we need to align with the business goals of the whole company. So it makes the top leaders to engage with our data management system, and when we have their sponsorship, we can easily make the other people believe in our strategy. If the top leaders join us and sponsor us, and then we can engage the other stakeholders. And with the alignment of the vision and strategy of our whole business, we need to establish our data management strategy. And then in tactical level, we need to design the data life cycle and process management, and it needs to be aligned with the strategic goals. At the operational level, we deal with the day-to-day data processing, ensure its security, and ensure its access control systems. And we need to use some technologies for them. And we need to prepare ourselves some technologies like business intelligence or artificial intelligence, machine learning, and something like that.
Yeah, and these are the digital transformational concepts that all of us are dealing with nowadays, and they become more and more embedded in our day-to-day operations. So they pose even higher criticality levels. Okay, well, good luck to everyone who's dealing with the AI and machine learning and everything. It's still a wild world out there for that. Okay, now this next thing is we know, what we want to do, how we want to do it, and at that point we need resources from the management. So we go back to the management and we ask for resources. So as you can see in this list, there are different types of resources which are slightly different than the other management system standards that the ISO published. And Ceylan, could you please just explain us why it is important to have the resources available to us for data management? Because data is everywhere, we can access to it anyway. So why is it important to have all these resources?
In terms of resource management, we need to think about the human resources and the technology and hardware and software, and also the budgets. In terms of human resources, we determine the roles. We have data operators, we have data owners, we have data governance team, and we have data stewards, and we need lots of people across the organization. And we need to determine the roles definitely in the beginning of our project. And then a good communication is needed with those people, so make them engage our project and believe in our project.
Yeah.
And we make the whole team competent to fulfill our data management daily workouts. And not only the working team, but also the whole organization needs to be aware of our data management system. Maybe a salesperson or a technical person doesn't care about our data, but we need to make all the organization be aware of our criticality of data and data management system.
Yeah.
And we need, when we are determining the roles, in the parallel way, meanwhile we determine who can access data, who can access which kind of data, and who needs to give permission about accessing the data. And by the way, we are determining the rules of access control system. And when we are exchanging data across the departments or with our external users, we need to make sure that we have licensing and consent of using and exchanging data and the intellectual property rights of them. And the whole system, we need to document it well to make sure that all of the organization can access this documentation and learn about our data management system. And with this documentation, versioning is very crucial because everybody needs to know if there's any change in our data management system or roles or operations.
Yes. And I would like to just mention licensing IPR and consent part because it's an interesting concept really. One of the biggest organizations, companies in the world, just published their AI, and it turned out that their IT department used pirated content to feed into their AI tools. And it is interesting concept really because they're in the court now, fighting against the copyright owners and everything, I believe. So that part is important in terms of resource management. How are you going to acquire those licenses or the intellectual property rights, or how can you get the consent from the data owners, that you can utilize you can process their data. This is one of the key resources in data governance anyway. And I'm pretty sure that a lot of people watching this webinar now are dealing with that kind of set of questions in their day-to-day work. So good luck with that. All right. Okay. Now we know what kind of resources we have and everything. Now it is time for us to start with the operations. So what does it mean? The operations is all about the making the hands dirty, putting our hands in the under the rocks and everything, and then we start implementing our processes. So in alignment with the quality management system approach, we initially plan our operations, and then we discover the data, and we identify the criticality of it. We design our systems, we design our systems to ensure the processing capabilities and everything, and then we provide them to real life or live environments. And then the operation starts. Obviously, we start monitoring, and meanwhile, we also deal with the external data processing needs and requirements. So I will, come back to you, Ceylan. Could you just give us a brief, overview of, how we, discover the data, how we design, our solutions, how we operate them, in terms of change management and release management, and its relationship to other parts of the organization. So how does it work really?
Yeah, in a corporation, we have different sources of data. They can be databases or file servers or SharePoint systems, reporting system. We have lots of sources, and we need to discover the data with its sources. I mean, where it's about the data provision. We need to know where data is born, in which database, in which schema, in which table, or in which file server, and who is in charge of these systems. We may use some tools about it, about the structural sources or unstructured sources, and with these tools, we can know that what kind of data is located in which places of our IT system. And then we must aware of the processing and monitoring of the data to ensure everything runs smoothly about the data quality. Because when you know where the data is born and how it is collected, where it's collected from, and in which applications or databases or service you use the data, or you store the data, or you duplicate the data, and if you know where is operated and how is operated, and if you set the rules from the beginning, then everything runs smoothly, and you don't have to deal with the data security risks, or something goes wrong about the data, data-driven faults in terms of development or delivery. And when you monitor the data, you can easily see if the data lifecycle goes smoothly, runs smoothly, and you can see if there's a fault in terms of data, and where or when it begins, if there's a fault because of the data. And we for the external data processing, we need to know where.
Ceylan, are you there? Are you muted?
Sorry, I don't know how it's muted, but maybe.
Oh, that's all right.
Yeah.
It happens,
Yeah. In the external data processing, you need to know where did you share which kind of your data. In your company, maybe you have a very stable system and you secure your data very well, but you don't know if every company that you share your data is so sensitive with that and is so stable with your data. So sometimes the other companies or people have cyber attacks, and if they have cyber attacks, your data within their system will be attacked as well. So you need to know where and what you shared with. And when you're doing this kind of things in data operation, you need to use some tools about data collection and cataloging and metadata management and monitoring and lineage of the data.
Yeah. So basically, what you say is this is actually is the, data management part of it, the day-to-day activities, day-to-day processing of the data. So we manage that environment. It's just, what you say is really very important here. I will reiterate a couple of items here so that, we can link it to our, coming slides in this presentation. We start planning our operations, how we're going to collect data. We plan our resources accordingly, and then we start looking at, as Ceylan suggested, looking at data storages, data at rest, data in use, data at transit. We look at all these things. We look at the data flows and all software, whatever we have, and we create our catalogs. And then we work on, we already have identified the criticality criteria, and then we assess, how important our data are. And then at this point, to manage our, resources and everything, we conduct a controls assessment, which is similar to risk assessment. And then, all these things are fed into our broader management system. Actually, in this case, we manage our, if we want to implement systems, if we want to create a structured data management system, an IT system kind of thing, we start working on our metadata. We start working on our reference data. The data catalogs, they become extremely important, and they need to be included in our process, day-to-day activities, to support our effective management of all these activities. And then once we have them, through our change management and release management processes, we ensure that whatever happens, new things coming in, changes within the organization, systems, processes,
Catalog
activities,
effects.
we also capture those things. And then, and then we do exactly the same thing for the external data processing bodies, our external parties, and so forth. So we'll come to that in a minute. I just wanted to reiterate all these things because we will be talking about integrating all these activities, to other parts of our organization. Anyway, so this was the operations. What it means is, we knew what we were going to implement. We asked for support from our management. We got the resources, and then we put everything in place. Now we have our, data catalogs. We have the roles, responsibilities. People are working there. Data catalogs are updated on an ongoing basis, as the processes progress. And then we manage our third-party relations and so forth, in terms of data processing. And then, if you remember the PDCA cycle, we did the planning doing, and now it is time for the checking. So how did we do? How successful are we? So we start talking about the performance evaluation. Leadership talks about some goals, goals and objectives in our, management system design. And then we start measuring our outputs and outcomes against those performance expectations. And then we conduct, internal audits on a planned intervals, as the standards suggest. And then, all these results are compiled into, one or more reports and presented to the management so that they can review, what happened in the management system, and they can take decisions. So as a result of all these performance evaluation activities, plus some other things like incidents, like security incidents, customer complaints, some feedback from external parties, some regulatory authorities, and that kind of stuff. So we collect everything that is not aligned with what we initially had intended to implement. We take it, we took it through our continual improvement process, and in the standard we have the non-conformities, we have the continual improvement aspects. So as you can see, all the structure is aligned with the PDCA cycle and the ISO management system standards, so that you can implement the data governance activities in a way that you already know what you're doing if you have already implemented the management system standards from ISO. All right, so this was the all these slides talked about the structure of the standard that we're publishing. So now it is time to talk about integrating it with existing systems. As Ceylan suggested, it is in the operations. So it is not only the data governance team, implementation team that needs to know things, but through our awareness process, we need to ensure that we include all the organizations so that we can achieve our results. So this means that all our operational activities, all our existing systems, IT systems, operational systems, management systems, and everything, they need to be linked to what we do. We need to have a hook somewhere so that we know what is happening. For example, in one of the recent consulting projects that I had, what we did, it's the software development activities that the organization is doing, and then they create a product, and then they put it in the cloud, and they provide the software as a service to their clients. So this is a small organization that they were doing, and the data catalogs were developed, and they created the data flows and everything. So we implemented the change management process, for example, in a way that no change request is accepted unless the changes in the data processing, the data itself and the data processing, are captured. So if there's anything changing there, if they are not captured, we don't approve these change requests, so that they can't, deploy them into the live environments. Or if we are doing something that may impact the third-party services, for example, if we are bringing in a new third-party organization to support our processes, we need to ensure that our security clauses are in place in our contracts. We have the non-disclosure agreements. We have the confidentiality clauses. Plus, we have we can discuss, actually, in this one, we talked about it. We can include a certain level of authority to audit their data processing capabilities, how and when and with whom they can share the data, what kind of data they can share with the other parties, and what level of control that we are going to have over those activities. So these need to be discussed. These need to be included within the contracts and the service agreements and so forth, so that as the main data owners, if you like, we conduct our responsibilities in an effective way with a certain level of transparency and certain level of authority, so that we can make changes in this data flow environment, let's say. And also we can integrate this management system with the existing management systems, because it is very much aligned. And then if you're working in a corporate environment, then this means that maybe you're part of a group companies, or you're part of a group and you're one of the group companies, or you may have a sister company or a mother company that you have some wider operational and governance structures that you're responsible towards. Then all these activities allow you to integrate this management system into these activities too, so that you can provide reports to these organizations, if you like. You can create what we call the collaboration with the with different levels of those organizations. You can create project collaborations, for example, if it includes, you know, different regions, different you know, parts of the departments or organizations. You can have direct communication, and also you can have third-party systems integration, because you know what you want and what you need and how you can achieve that. So it is all possible, you know, integration with all entities and all systems. It is very useful, really. Okay, so this is the standard, and the standard, you know, is developed, and the copyright holder is the Data Management Systems Institute. This is a commercial organization registered in the UK, and the business provides, or is going to provide actually, business certification and also personal certification. If your organization is thinking about implementing data management or data governance activities, or if you personally want to progress your career in data governance, you know, having qualifications in the data management system standard, implementation, auditing, consulting, and so, you know, would be a very, you know, clever and easy way to have that. For more information, you can visit the msi.org.uk, or alternatively, you can contact us on datamanagementsystem.org, which explains the standard, you know, at a high level. And if you are interested in the standard, please contact us through this website and through the contact form, and clearly, you know, indicate, you know, your interest in the standard, and we'll be in contact with you. All right. So this is, you know, what we wanted to talk about, you know, about the standard. But initially, what we did was we started talking about data management, data governance, data management systems, and so forth. And then we explained different models that exist in the marketplace, and we focused on one particular standard, one particular model that you can implement data governance. But if you don't want that, obviously you can still implement a robust data governance framework. So Ceylan, could you please just help us to go through this, you know, fairly simple to understand, yet, you know, focus requiring list of activities that, you know, that allow us to implement a robust data governance framework.
First of all, we define our vision and objectives, and they must be aligned with the whole business objectives and the whole strategy of our corporation. Thanks to the first thing we enroll with the whole company's objectives, we can secure the executive sponsorship, and if we secure the executive sponsorship, then we can communicate it with the people about the data governance process and policies, and we can make them believe in our process. And we can establish a data governance team. As I mentioned before, it can be a central team, or it can be across the departments. It's just a choice of your company, or it's according to your type of organizations. And when we establish the team, the team's first job is to define the policies and standards of the data governance. And they need to be publish it, and they need to communicate it with whole of the company. And for those people who will collaborate in data governance framework, needs to be trained by the data governance team. And they need to be access all the documentation about the data governance process, policies, and rules. And now we have the team, we have the human resources, And now we need the technology to do it, to do data cataloging, to do metadata management, the data discovery, and the data lifecycle management. We need the technology, we need hardware and software. There are lots of softwares dealing with the metadata management, data discovery, data quality. And some of them do the all, some of them you need one or two more technologies to join with. And then now you establish whole the system, and now you need to monitor it, evolve it, you need to determine some metrics, some KPIs to make it success, and see how it works and evolve it. And then you need to continue improve it so that you can have a robust data governance framework.
Thank you very much, Ceylan. So from now on, you have the basics of implementation of the data governance framework. You know what kind of frameworks you have in place, the models, the standards, and everything. You now have the data governance and data management system standard, the detailed explanation of that. Now you don't have any other excuse to postpone your data governance projects. Now you can implement it very effectively, and I'm looking forward to hearing your success stories. So thank you very much for today's attendance. Ceylan, on behalf of Ceylan and myself, I would like to thank you for attending here and spending time with us. As I earlier suggested, you can follow the CFE certifications social media accounts on X, Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, and so. And also you can visit their website, cfecert.com or cfeacademy.com or cfeaudit.com. They provide online courses which are CPD accredited courses. You can get information once you send emails to the certification services or the training services. They'll be happy to support you with all the information regarding the online courses and also auditing and training services. So thank you very much, everyone. I hope that was useful, and I'm looking forward to hearing from you. Have a great day. Bye.
Thank you.